So, what are the most common mistakes beginners do when learning Python?
Choosing a curriculum. The problem with these today's curriculums is they want to teach you everything, which will leave the candidate in overwhelming state, and eventually he'll not learn anything.
And how is your teaching different from other trainers?
Consider any student, they'll have three aspects. One is the learning angle, learning direction, learning pace. When I talk to him, I'll try to identify what are these three in him. Then I'll adjust my pace, I'll adjust my angle, I'll adjust my direction so that I can serve him better. My goal is to make you build apps, because an engineer who cannot build apps is not an engineer. There are many engineers who just fills the Excel sheets and do the reporting stuff. In my view, they are not engineers. For me, engineering is in the thought process, simplification, innovation. Till now, wherever we go, the story is not about us. It is about the student. It is about the careers of the student. Whatever the room which we are sitting in, we can still represent this in a code. I can still present the entire thing, including the lights, in code.
Now you're convincing me to join the Python training.
Yeah.
Hello everyone. Let's get to know our trainer who is going to teach you Python. So come on, let's have a chat. So, hello Chaitanya.
Hello.
So before we start, can you quickly introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Hi everyone, I am Chaitanya. I'm a software engineer working at a lead healthcare technology company based out in Israel, and I'm a specialized full stack developer and an automation engineer and also a DevOps engineer. It's been exactly 8 years since I wrote my first line of code in C language, when my father receives an SMS on a bank transaction. Ever since, I've always fascinated what these programming languages can do in the future. That curiosity led me to learn Java, and eventually I got a chance to work with multinational companies like Cognizant, Telenet, Pega, Adobe, Netcracker, and local startups which are valued at millions of dollars. I've been part of the core engineers. If you are still confused on what language you have to choose, go for Python, because Python is the most closest language for AI. We never know after 10 years if this programming language would exist, but if there is any language that have to exist, that would be Python. So I'd like to invite you all for this course, where I'll be teaching you from nothing to everything. We have crafted the curriculum, and I'll be putting my all 100% teaching everything I know and you should know. In this era of AI, I'm excited to explore what future holds for you and us.
Okay, to a Guruji, trainer, Python trainer, being a completely noob in this coding language, I want to know what is Python and how is it actually a beginner friendly?
Maybe before I explain about Python, let me also explain about a programming language. What is a programming language? We are speaking in English, right? I'm telling something, I have some intentions, I have some context, and I'm communicating to someone else. While I'm crafting my words, when it is associated or coupled with some sound, the meaning is conveyed to you, and you can recompile it and understand what I'm trying to say. This is a language, human to human language. Same way, computers are powerful enough to do some tasks for us. Likewise, if you shoot an image, you can copy from one folder to another folder. You can record a song, you can do the editing stuff. A computer is capable of a lot of things, because data is ultimately one and zeros, the machine language. So you can pass some instructions for it to do. How do you pass it, right? We have, let's say there are 100 people who want to utilize the capabilities of computer. They need to communicate somehow to the computer. But all the 100 people, if I have to communicate to computer, the hardware can understand only 1 or 0. See a capacitor or any kind of electronic components. If there is charge, that indicates 1. If no charge, it is 0. You put a light, it is 1 of 0. Right? So a lot of hardware components working together to form those 1-0s patterns. So in mathematics also, you have this stuff where you can perform an addition with 1-0s. In algebra, you might have heard that concept. If I call all the 100 people to our institution, let's start to learn about 1-0s so that I can do an addition in the computer. How would they feel? They feel like, how can I remember 1-0-0-0-0-1-1-1-0 to perform an addition?
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense. So there is an abstraction on top of it. People build something that will ultimately convert into 1-0s, and that will be communicated to a computer to do something. And the abstraction or the top level layer, often categorized as high level languages and lower languages, we call them as programming languages. It can do the human to machine communication. That is a programming language. We have more than 700 programming languages, actively 250 as of now.
Okay.
Today, Python is the most popular language as per the TBO index. And also, well-known apps like Instagram or the Dropbox, many apps use Instagram behind. You listen to Spotify.
Yes.
Yeah, many of the recommendation algorithms were built with Python. Even Google algorithms, for certain aspects, they're using Python. Even the Netflix data analysis modules are built with Python. Reddit, the marketing source.
Yes.
Initially, it is written in some other language. I don't remember its name, but it was totally rewritten in Python later. So why we are doing all of this in Python? Is Python the only reason is you can be fast to market. That means it is so beginner friendly. It is much closer to English. You can ship a product in half of the time of which it would take in languages like C or Java. So it has abstracted a lot of complex operations, memory management, where you need to deal with them in other languages. In Python, everything is abstracted. It is so straightforward and simple. You just come and say print hello world, it's gonna print hello world. You just come and say, you give a string and do dot case fold, it's gonna turn it to smaller case. All of this built-in equipment makes it powerful and easy to use and approachable language. So in a way, it is very much beginner friendly. Even today, in the worldwide stats, 80% of the universities teach Python as the first programming language, and it was part of their curriculum till today. 80%.
Okay. I come from a no coding background, and still I can learn it easily.
You can learn, but
So-
there are some prerequisites you need to know.
And what are those?
You need to know English,
Okay.
obviously. Basic computer operations you need to know. If you have to sum up into a single word, you need to know the computer fundamentals. That's it. That is the only qualification you would need.
As I said, I'm a noob. So how much more time will it take for me or the students out there to learn Python from basic to advanced? The time duration.
Basic and advanced, 2 points.
Yes.
Basic is definitive, advanced is subjective. You want to learn basics. You just come learn about the data types, variables, operators, basic operations. You learn loops, and pretty much you're done with the basics. You come to intermediate stuff, you learn about classes, oops, you build a small project. Then obviously you'll learn about file handling, error handling, all of this stuff. Then you come to advanced. It starts with concurrency, all the way concurrency, data structures, and you start to use typing, generics. Why I said advanced is subjective is when you go to a level where you want to use the deeper modules in Python, I would say I would use package instead of modules, the word, because Python ecosystem does have more than 4 lakhs packages published in repository. More than 4 lakhs packages. So what is a package? A package is nothing but a piece of code that was developed by some Python developer and made readily available. Let's say you want to convert an image from JPEG to PNG. There's a package. I can open my code editor, just type import and that package name. Before that, I need to install it, and you call some function from that package. Boom, you achieved that functionality of converting a JPEG file to PNG file. You actually didn't write the code. You used some existing package which is written by someone else. Likewise, you have 4 lakhs plus packages.
Okay.
So how do you define what number of packages if I learn? I'll consider that as an advanced Python. If you have your background in other programming languages, to just master the basics, it will take around 1 month. Okay. Just the basics. If you don't have any background in any programming languages, it will take almost till 2 months to complete the moderate level of modules in Python. And for a full-fledged course packed with a full stack application or some kind of real world project, it will take at least 4 months.
I am now perfect with basics and intermediate, but not advanced. Will it make me a job ready?
It depends on the job description. So if you are a fresher, I'll tell you what companies expect, because I've been interviewing candidates continuously for the last 2 months. What we expect is, from a fresher point of view, we would expect you to solve any kind of moderate Python problems. So what are moderate Python problems? We might give you a list of data and ask you to sort it, or just bring out the even numbers from the list. You can find these programs basically in the geeksforgeeks.com or a lot of websites. You just aim yourself to solve 100, 200 questions. If you are able to solve them, that means those solutions would automatically involve using the loops and if else and all the moderate stuff of Python, and you're there. Any kind of theoretical questions, you just be ready with the at least the outliners, though many people cannot explain the specifics, but that's okay. You just need to have a big picture on what's happening. If you could convey that for us, that is more than enough. Because once you are in, we are not going to ask you every day, what is Python, what is Python. We use Python in a different way. Another company uses it in a different way. We will train you so that you'll help us in completing certain tasks. You need to understand our goal and be aligned, and how we are using Python. You just need to be aligned with us to use the same way.
You build some Writery application and all. So was it completely based on Python?
It is fully based on Python. There is some HTML and CSS, JavaScript involved, but I would have chosen now a framework called Reflex, which was released recently, and I love that framework because we can do a lot of things just using plain Python. For Writery, I used Fast API for the backend, and front end it is HTML, CSS, JS.
So how did you come up with the idea of Writery?
Yeah, so besides teaching and programming, I always have passion for writing as well. I've been in freelance blogger from 2020, and I love to write. I love to express my feelings a lot. Building a blog, publishing content involves a lot of steps. Like you need to identify a niche, get into a hosting provider, pay some bills, get a domain, and get things up. Once you do all of that stuff, when you started to write content, you are so much focused on other stuff like design, SEO and all, and I lose the authenticity as a personal writer. I'm sure like these processes would definitely help businesses, but as a personal writer, I need some personal medium where I can communicate my thoughts. So I thought, I searched for platforms, none of them are actually fitting my bill. Then I thought, why not I make a platform of my own where if I message in WhatsApp and it should be published as a blog post. It is just out of curiosity. That's how the idea came.
But it sounds very helpful. I'm surely going to use that as a content creator. I need ideas. So now you're working in a corporate company. What made you, come into this teaching field and teach and train people out there?
Firstly, this is not my full time, the teaching one. This is purely out of passion. Why? You have asked the right question, because every wish or anything you want to learn should start with why. Even in programming, I believe it. The why. My mom is a teacher, so she teaches the maths for the 10th, for the AP board. So the teaching is in my genes from childhood. I used to walk with my mom to her school, and I used to draw the digestive system in the school, and I used to explain to the kids. I love to explain, so that because when I explain, I'll get better. I believe it. I've been in corporate. So lately I've married 1.5 years back. There are a lot of people in my wife's family. They really admire me much. They called to me seeking career advice. So I was advising to a couple of people. Then I thought, we are blood relatives, right? Let's go one step ahead. Let's try to help them. Then I told them, gather few people. I'm going to teach you Python.
Okay.
So they gathered 40-50 people. I announced like I'm going to start in 1 week. In 1 week, we got some 120-130 people. Classes started. People really like the teaching, the way I teach. If my passion is helping someone, so why not continue in this field?
And how is your teaching different from other trainers?
I differentiate in 2 aspects, respectfully. Before I say them, I need to convey my observation of a student's learning style. Consider any student. They'll have 3 aspects. One is the learning angle, learning direction, learning pace. These are my own observations. I don't know if they are available in Google. Learning angle. You take any fundamental language, they'll have certain angles for it. You just consider English or Telugu or Hindi. You have the language as a standalone language. You can derive a poetry out of it. You can derive a song out of it. You can craft a novel out of it. So you keep all of them aside. Underlying it is Telugu or Hindi only, but the value or the derivation which you brought out of the language is different. Same with programming languages. You have Python. It has some certain angles. In one angle, you can go to cybersecurity. In other angle, you can go to software development, data science, machine learning or AI. Several angles. You got to choose your learning angle, where I'm going. Number 2, learning direction. There are two directions primarily, top to bottom and bottom to top. Maybe let me tell you this metaphor. There are two mechanics. One guy studied mechanical engineering and he did some projects placed somewhere else and he started his own shop. There is another mechanical engineer who didn't study anything but a 7th failed candidate. He joined as an assistant mechanic in some of the local mechanic shop. So he keep on looking at the master and he learned some techniques. Eventually, after 5 years, he's also equipped some skills where he can dismantle a vehicle and again get it back to its original shape. Now you tell me who might have a very good practical experience.
The second question.
Obviously, right?
Yes.
Because the first person learned theory first, then did the practice. The second guy did the practice first. When he encountered certain problem, he searched the theory for it. Okay, this wrench is not fitting. Maybe what should I do now? Then he goes to theory. Same way, these two are the two different learning directions, not just for mechanics, but any kind of skill you want to learn in life. You figure out the theory first, then practice, or you start practicing and then figure out. I'm not a computer science graduate. I myself identify as a second guy. I tried everything. I try everything. I try AI, I tried web development, I tried mobile development. I don't fear first. I don't feel like it's a web development, I'll not be able to make it. No, there is nothing like you'll not be able to make it. You just figure out. You just write a program and run. It could throw an error. Your ego hurts. Okay, I got an error. You try again. You try 100 times. You'll see 100 errors. But no one is going to judge you there. You are the person who is judging you. Okay, you search online. What is the resolution? You make a fix. You succeed. You get a better pay. So learning direction is important. I honestly always watch for learning practically. Number 3 is learning pace. Everyone will have their own pace. In your elementary, you might have taken a week to learn multiplication. I still remember all my friends learned the modulus division when I was studying 4th or 3rd. And I used to practice like anything, those Roman numbers and stuff. I didn't learn it for almost 3 weeks. I delayed by 2 weeks. So I have my own pace, right? These things are very important. Learning direction, learning angles, and learning pace. I would identify myself. Now I'll come to your question.
Okay.
I'll identify myself as a person who can tailor my teaching according these 3 aspects in the students. Every student will have these 3 aspects. When I talk to him, I'll try to identify what are these 3 in him. Then I'll adjust my pace. I'll adjust my angle. I'll adjust my direction so that I can serve him better. Number 2, all of my teachings come from the real world.
Real world.
I still believe today, whatever the room which we are sitting in, we can still represent this in a code. I can still represent the entire thing, including the lights in code.
Now you're convincing me to join the Python training.
Yeah. So I can represent the light as in class light.
Okay.
And I can class sofa. And I can do magical stuff like if I call a function, the light could turn on, off. All of these things you can see in the terminal. That's where the advanced Python goes. Not just Python, any programming languages goes.
So what are the most common mistakes beginners do when learning Python, and how can it be avoided?
As I was saying earlier, we have 400 plus packages in Python. Technically, if you want to say I've learned Python in full, you have to visit all the 4 lakhs packages as well. Do you think it is possible practically?
No.
No, it is not possible. That's why first pitfall people will fall into is, before I get into job or I want to crack some job, I need to learn Python in whole. That is a common misconception. No, that's not how it works. Second thing is choosing a curriculum. See, because Python is vast, imagine an ocean, right? It can be used for a wedding, the seashore. And few people can commercialize certain area by putting a ticket and doing some underwater gaming or underwater playing stuff. It's the same ocean. You have different aspects. Same way, Python, when you're learning, as I said, we have different angles.
Yes.
If you have chosen a different angle, you need to learn a portion of Python. and you change your angle, the portion changes. If you want to learn data science, you learn Python along with pandas and numpy and other. You want to go with AI, you have AI related packages like TensorFlow and all. The problem with these today's curriculums is they want to teach you everything for you, which will leave the candidate in overwhelming state.
Yeah.
And eventually he'll not learn anything. Second pitfall I was telling about is choosing the right curriculum. Many curriculums are designed to attract the students, like they put everything in the catalog to attract masses of students. Actually, a curriculum must be fine-tuned or designed to achieve some goal. That's why we call it as a curriculum. I want to switch a job. I already know Python, I already know Java. The problem is someone recommends me that, hey, I learned Python in Udemy course, please go and learn. And I start to go and start learning it. I feel it's very boring. Why even he recommend? I call to him. I say it is not a good course. Why did you? He says no. Arguably, it is very good course for me. Why there are two opinions for the same course? Because the difference is in the backgrounds. He is a complete beginner, so that is a killer deal for him. He teaches everything. For me, I already know a couple of languages. I need not do all the boring stuff which you are telling. So many people today who are coming to Amirpet or a lot of other institutions, they go in the halfway because there is a difference in the backgrounds. So whenever we design curriculum, there is a balance. So we need to understand the pulse of the students. What is the goal people are aiming for? If necessary, we need to also divide as a sub batches. If there are persons who are aiming for cybersecurity jobs, we have to train them. But the problem here is you'll only identify that I belong to this area only during the journey. It is not possible upfront, like I'll become the cybersecurity professional. No. As you start learning Python, as you go with your own interest, you'll learn certain portions of Python will fascinate you. You'll fall or you'll incline towards it. That will be your career. You cannot force yourself to learn something without interest and continuing that. That's not practical. So the common pitfall is trying to learn everything. Second thing would be not choosing the right curriculum.
So can you break down your teaching program to me, and how are you going to make our students, future ready?
As I said, my approach would be we do have demos every month or twice a month. I would assess, I would understand again three things: the angle, direction, and the pace. Every student comes with an expectation, right? He walks through the floors, right? Throughout, he explores every possible opportunity because he wants to get the best out of what he is going to invest. So we need to serve their expectations. My first priority is set the expectations right. You come with the wrong expectations. I have different expectations. I deliver it. Still, you'll be upset because your expectations are not met.
Yes.
So when you're coming to a course, you want to learn from me, we must have a mutual agreement that I'm going to teach you this. Are you ready for this? My goal is to make you build apps, because an engineer who cannot build apps is not an engineer. There are many engineers who just fills the Excel sheets and do the reporting stuff. In my view, they are not engineers. And for me, engineering is in the thought process. Engineering is in the process of simplification. Engineering is in the process of innovation. When you are driven by such core motivations, when you are purely driven by such kind of motivations, such kind of expectations, whatever you do, you'll succeed. My first approach would be I'll make you understand what I'm going to say. My goal is to make you build apps. How you build apps, where you'll build apps, I don't know. In which company you'll place, how can I say? It is totally different. At that point of time, someone could interview. It's up to you on how do you answer it, right? I really hate when people say cognizant interview questions, TCS interview questions, Capgemini interview questions. How can you tag certain questions to a separate company? Did you see any report published by the companies that we are going to ask only from this set? No. I'm also an interview panel member. Okay. I have colleagues who are also interviewing. None of our questions are same. We belong to the same company, same team. So when you join an interview, you want to face a state of mind, not a state of company. I'll ask from what I know. He'll ask from what he knows. So there is nothing called company questions. If you read these questions, you want to crack it. No. So there are some misconceptions and misbeliefs already established in the students' brains ever since the childhood. If you want to clear the 10th, your career is settled. These all lies were seeded so that their institution could perform. So the third thing I would do is to cut down the lies. I'm going to say the brutal truth, what is happening in the corporate, because I've been into many companies. I know what companies expect. I know what companies pay for. I know what they would expect alongside the technical skills. So I'm going to train not just for the technical skills, I'm going to train as them as a personality, not just the technical skills. I want to make you an engineer who can build an apps.
So it's completely gonna be practical based.
Now your question is related to what angle it is. So my angle is, I would go with the second angle where practice first, theory next.
Yeah.
I will make you something. I'll explain the concept. I'll make you do hands-on. I'll iterate the concept. I'll explain it a little more deeper. I'll give you a more complex problem. This iteration continues until you master it. I'll not stop there. I'll not stop by saying A equal to 3, B equal to 2, A plus B equal to 5. No, that doesn't make sense to you. How do you apply it in real world? Idli equal to 2, samosa equal to 2, idli plus 2. That's where, so you can, if you apply this in real world, you are making a restaurant billing system. If you just see ABCs, you'll not see any value.
Yes.
If you see any recipe names there, you'll find value that I'm building some billing system for a local restaurant. That means you're solving a problem. Now you're thinking like an engineer. If you're thinking ABCs, you're still in 10th class maths. You stop there. Become an engineer. You know to think like an engineer. Innovate. Be curious. Right? I'll encourage these kind of traits so that he'll reach the position he deserved.
So as you said about the balance, so in your teaching, how are you going to balance them to learn basic to advanced, for them to not get overwhelmed by this Python thing?
So I go by iteration approach. I still remember when I was sitting in my C class in my engineering, I was curious because being an EC student, I was always fascinated how a computer science subject would sound. I'm interested to learn. You don't believe, for almost 3 days, he was only telling about the background of C, who invented it, in which year invented it. But I don't care all of that. I want to get into the stuff. Once that is done, he started about variables. It was prolonged to 2 weeks. So once I walk out, if someone asks, say, hey, you are there in C classes for almost 3 weeks. What did you learn? I learned variables. They'll laugh at me because in official documentations like Java documentation or Google documentations, Python variables is a small section which you could read in 20 minutes. So why to prolong it for this long, explaining in and out of everything? You first iterate me through certain topics, then do the second iteration with a little more depth, do the third iteration with the finest depth.
Okay.
That will keep me engaged. That will give me a satisfaction that I'm learning something. End of the day, I'll also learn everything. So I find I'll iterate through the topics time and time. So I tell in and out about variables for 2 weeks. In that time, at a high level, I can cover almost the topics all the way till classes. After 2 weeks, if someone is walking and telling, I know the high level implementation of all the classes of Python, other guys and tells, I just know variables in and out. Whom would you hire?
The first person.
First person. Course. Simple logic.
Yes.
Learn the stuff, know the stuff at high level, then iterate it. Dig deeper. As the experience grows, you'll go deeper.
So I heard there's this challenge going to be in 3 days of a demo where you'll be teaching students how to build an application within just 3 days. So can you let us know about this?
We have an initiative for this course where we're gonna make the student build an app in 3 days.
That too for free?
For free. So, but let me make you clear that this is not a kind of marketing gimmick.
Okay.
There is a true essence associated with it. Why would we waste 3 days of effort on a person for free? We just want to show the candidate what he can do in 3 days. Till now, wherever we go, the institutions, the teachers, the companies, the story is all about us. But I believe as a teacher, the story is not about us. It is about the students. It is about the careers of the students. It is not about us. We are fine. But he is coming, he had been picking the money from hard-earned money from his home, somehow managing to come here, staying in some 3 by 4 square foot area in a PG hostel, eating the very bad tasting food. Still, morning wakes up and get ready and walks in. So we are not here to play with the dreams of the first thing I want to make it clear.
Yes.
Second thing is, there are some libraries that will make you achieve this. Definitely, I'm not talking about Django or Flask and all. If you want to master them, it will take time. But what I'm saying is, there are some readily available tools in this era of AI, which we can build basic apps in 2 or 3 days if you learn some of the Python concepts. So we are going to teach them. Upon understanding, we'll make them to build in their own laptop so that they can be confident that I can do something. Even if I don't have a computer science background, I can do something. They should feel it. When they feel it, I believe they are qualified to be in the course, because I think nothing is more stronger than belief.
Yes.
After these 3 days, they should walk in with confidence to the class.
As you said, you used to do the interviews and all. So what are the starting packages for the Python developer?
See, this is a very common question which I often see in the YouTube shorts and all. They're gonna bring the mic and ask, hey, what is your salary and all. There's a small misconception here I want to clarify. Any package is not tightly attached with the programming language. I'll tell how the finances operate in a corporate company. There's a company has a budget to complete certain project. To do that project, they'll hire the leads or the managers. Then the technical architect sits down and designs the system design based on the business use cases. I think this language would be efficient. How they'll decide the language? Based on the business needs. Maybe if we are doing some live streaming, Python might not be a good choice, because Python is 20% slower than other languages. They might go with C++ or something else. If the project is about AI or data science, Python is the good match, because there is readily available ecosystem with many number of pre-built packages that could help. Based on that, he'll define the tech stack. Then he tells the manager, hey, to complete this project, how many resources we need. Then manager says, what programming language? He says Python. Okay, I think we need at least 10 engineers. Okay, then he communicates to HR. Can you post 10 job listings for Python developers? Okay, then he'll ask, what is the JD? Then again he goes back to architect and tell, what are the other languages along with Python? Then he's based on the project requirements, he tells we need Django, Fast API, Postgres DB, a bit of AWS kind of things, cloud. Then they put in the same job description. Then it comes out. Do you think anywhere the budget allocation for the 10 people is associated with Python?
No.
Not at all.
It's the whole.
The budget came out. Tomorrow, the next day, architect could come and say, maybe Java would be the right fit. They might change it to Java, but that won't affect the project budget. They might change it to Ruby or Go. That won't change the project budget. It is same. At the same time, I'm not fully saying it is not independent, because Go developers are a little costlier, because there is a supply-demand gap with programming languages. What I'm saying is, there are some brackets. Like for fresher, every company will have their own brackets. Let's say in a company which I'm working on, it's a leading healthcare provider company. We have a brackets called IC, IC4, IC5, IC6, IC7. They define the years of experience in brackets, like 1 to 3 years will fall under IC4, 3 to 5 years will fall under IC5. And for each bracket, they'll have a starting salary and ending salary. They cannot cross the band. There are some company-specific bands. Now, your question generalizes thousands of companies in Hyderabad, Bangalore, and everywhere. So what should I answer? I would say, in general, any beginner would have around 4 LPA, 0 to 4 LPA, or at least 2 to 4 LPA. Then comes the intermediate, which goes from 5 to 10. Then by the time you reach some 5-6 years, you can go all the way till 15. And you have exceptional skills. Then at 3-4 year level itself, you can crack 15 lakh LPA. You go beyond, go to DSA and crack companies like Google, Netflix, Meta, and you easily reach 30-40. So you have, sky is the limit. So this is the very general bracket.
Okay. So in your opinion, Python will still dominate the programming world in next 10 years?
In next 10 years, I believe it will be dominant for its simplicity. Because, for one reason, you have thousands of people coming out of college every year. Out of those thousands, only certain portion belong to CSE. So, a very common formula. So, whatever department you might belong to, end of the day you're falling into IT. So, most of the people, students who wanted to learn programming language, they also fall under same either one or the two categories. One absolutely belong to CSE. They have some basics or understanding of the programming and they somehow cope up and get a job. When it comes to EC, they learned everything that is not related to programming. All of a sudden, there are no opportunities. They feel they become overwhelmed. Suddenly, they turn towards IT and somehow I need to crack a job in IT. They started to search for the courses and get enrolled. Obviously, if someone says, "Hey, Python is the most beginner-friendly and easiest language," it is very natural for a person to choose Python as a go-to language. In that sense, it is always dominant. It is always beginner-friendly, picked by anyone. And the good thing is there are equally compelling opportunities both in India and outside India also.
Okay.
So you pick an Python language, you learn alongside with some of the packages like for web development, you master the Django, DRF, and you learn a database, learn to how to do the CRUD, create, read, update, delete. You learn about the APIs. You learn about the basic design problems. You build this real world project, work with the team which actually builds a project. But you got to make a switch. You have very good career choices. Ahead.
So there are the higher chances student getting jobs abroad as well.
Yes. Besides survival of the Python for the next 10 years, actually year on year, Python is being growing at 29%, unlike any other languages. It is the most adopted and globally appealing language as of now, as per the stats everywhere you could see. How do you feel for being a part of Medha, Edutech and being a trainer here? Yeah, I met Shekhar sir almost 2.5 months back. It was quite a good journey till now. I've seen the premises. So I only committed to digital Medha by seeing the premises, honestly, because I've been to several institutions. I've seen them. I'm making this bold statement not just because this is looking fancy, but this shows the commitment. See, if I'm investing in something, that means I'm truly loving it. I believe the founders, Maunika madam or the Shekhar sir, are truly believing. They really love what they're doing. Our thought process fell in lines. And I came here, I visited. I like the approach. I like the friendly culture. So yeah, so far it is very fascinating. So what outcomes students can expect apart from learning Python? The very first thing is, do you know in India why companies like Cognizant and TCS and all invest crores of rupees on the office spaces? Do you know the psychological hack behind it? No. Let me say. Imagine I'm a desperate student. I want to crack a job even if it's for 20K per month. My goal is to crack a job. Then a company came. They just built a small office building with some old fans rotating and without any AC vents or something, nothing fancy. If they are paying me 20K per month, my need is satisfied. I'm going to go and join. Imagine if all companies did the same thing. Thousands of crores will be saved on lease rents, the maintenance and all, right? All the central AC will be saved. Cost will be saved. Why they would not do it? Because they set a standard. Okay. When you walk into the company, that shows the status of the company. It is a prestige. It's a prestige issue. That's how MNCs work. It's kind of showcasing that way. It's gonna project or place that company in your mind in that way. Yeah. Why I'm saying about this is the outcome from this course you'll get is first point. You get the similar standards of environment. You got your nice smart classrooms. You got very spacey area to explore, right? You got very friendly staff to chit chat, right? You got all of this good AC and setup and all. Imagine a candidate is paying 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs in the college, learning nothing, coming here and paying just under 30,000. He's getting all of this masterclass training experience. So I feel he gets greater value for money, for the kind of money he's investing, right? The first thing he'll get is setting the standards right. He'll set his standards right. You're a professional. You're a graduate. You need not go and study on the roads. Set your standards right. Lift your chin up. That's the kind of attitude we go with. First lesson. Second, obviously, the free spoken English classes. It is in my notice that Shekhar was saying we have many students that people are working with no English background. We are working towards improving their communication.
Yes, soft skills.
That's why I believe this initiative has happened. Number 3, they'll think like an engineer. Python is like a tool. You have the wrench. Would you become a mechanical engineer? You cannot. Wrench is a tool. What you need is a thought process. We're gonna build you the thought process of problem solving. We'll make you understand how to see a problem as a problem, how to identify a problem, how to solve it. Approach is the most matter. We'll never teach you how to do it. Before we teach why to do it. Simple. Why is our first motive. And in the end, we have a placement assistant team. We'll have a weekly one-on-one interviews, right? And I'll encourage you to explore the right forums. We'll build up your GitHub profile, LinkedIn profile. You'll work on your resume. We'll prepare an introduction script on how do you deliver yourself. You'll get your nice photographs and introduction videos. We're gonna make you practice. We're gonna prepare you for the job interviews. These all are perks you're getting for just pennies.
I feel lucky too. So Chaitanya, how is our Python training course at Met Academy is different from other institutes?
The good thing is we have a unique thing called build an app in 3 days, which I talked about earlier. Yes. I feel this is a very unique thing to let the candidates realize their potential, what they can do in 3 days. Our curriculum is totally focused on hands-on. So once every module is completed, we have a mini project associated with that module so that you can test what you have learned. This is a very unique approach which we take up. Alongside, there are always efforts behind to make your resume shine among the hundreds of resumes that are constantly exporting in the corporate world. And also, there are ongoing efforts to make your communication skills better by providing free communication masterclass. Alongside, we are working with companies to get some partnerships and introduce our students to be placed in both in India and abroad. I feel this is an holistic package you get at Met, where you often don't find it other places. So I could say the testimony is the environment. When someone loves the environment, he invests in it. So the kind of environment which you get, it's no short of the standards which you see in international. That says the staff here truly love what they're doing, and they're truly caring for the students who are paying. I would say this holistic package of making you job ready, getting your skills upgraded, both in communication, technical and soft, and helping with your resumes and other stuffs. This holistic package is a very unique thing I found at meeting. And the other thing I would like to highlight the most, when I say highlighting the most, this is a very unique thing, unique of the uniques. You have never seen this in India, or at least in my knowledge, I haven't noticed someone implementing this. Often in these kind of training institutes, it is not practical that a trainer would go and interview 30-40 students every week. That is not practical, yes, logistically. So we came up with an idea to solve this problem. That is, we are building our own in-house AI product where a student can join the call with the AI and actually do the interview on that week's taught concepts. Let's say I taught you regarding the loops throughout this week, and after that we will schedule an interview with you. So interview is the place every student fails. You get through all the hiccups throughout the process, and interview is the decision maker. So we want to make sure that is the core area we train the most every single week. So candidate can join, actually speak like a person. You'll receive a phone call where the AI would speak to you like a normal person, and it will send you an immediate assessment on that week's curriculum. So there is no choice. A student is just faking or lying on us. We track every student's progress. If someone is not picking up, we reach out to them personally and guide them how can he actually gear up in those areas. This is a very unique initiative we have taken up, and we are working on stabilizing that product.
Now I'm just want to join this course, and I'm pretty sure people out there are eagerly waiting to join this course. Nice talking to you. Thank you, Chaitanya.
You're welcome. Thank you.